Start, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. 1, 2, 3, start.
A very good morning to all of you. I'm here to present Year 3 Management and Meetings of Corporate Laws paper BCom Honors, paper number BCH 2.3. I am Dr. Shikha Sachdeva. So today I'm going to cover most of the topics of Unit 3. I will try to cover as many as possible, though it is 2 hours time which has been given to me. So the topics which we would be covering from company management are like the directors, the legal position of directors, composition of board of directors, maximum number, minimum number, women directors, that is classification of directors, directors identification number, qualification, disqualification, removal, KMPs, etc. I would try to throw light on each one of the topics so that it is easier for you to comprehend when you start preparing for your examination. So coming to the first topic, that is directors. Director basically is defined under section 2 subsection 34 of the New Companies Act 2013. It means a very simple definition is it means a director appointed to the board of a company. Okay, now what do you exactly mean by directors? Why do we need directors? You know, a company is an artificial person, right? It is invisible, intangible, and exists only in the eyes of law, right? So therefore, somebody needs to act on behalf of the company in dealing with others. So when somebody needs to act on behalf of the company, we get to know of the term directors. So directors basically are the topmost administrative organ of the company. They collectively are called as board of directors. They are natural persons who act as if they are the eyes, they are the brain of the company. And as per section 149 subsection 1 of the New Companies Act, only an individual can be a director of the company, because they have to they're representatives of the company. They have to act on behalf of the company. As such, no proper statutory definition of a company director is given, but we just tend to find that it means a director appointed to the board of a company. Okay, so it includes any person who is occupying the position of a director by whatever name called. Thus, we have to make this very clear in our mind that instead of name, the designation or the title, definition of a director is purely based upon the functions he is performing, or it is purely on position occupied by him. So we have to remember this, that director are considered to be the eyes, brain, nerves of a company, and directors represent the company. They are working on behalf of the company. And there are there is an important section which talks about, I am taking this particular topic a little ahead of time. Why? Because it is required to understand the next topics. Number of directorships. It is given section 165 of Companies Act 2013, and it says that no person shall hold office as a director, including any alternate directorship. I'll tell you what does this alternate directorship mean. And in more than 20 companies at the same time. That means a person cannot hold directorship in more than 20 companies, and out of these 20 companies, maximum 10 can be public companies. So out of these 20 companies in which he can hold directorship, he can be the director of maximum 10 public companies. Okay, so this is regarding the number of directorship. Now we come to legal position of directors. Okay, very important, very necessary to understand that what is the legal position of a director? What is the status of a director in an organization, in a company form of business organization? Okay, I am assuming I have started from unit 3, that is company management and meetings. Why? Because we are assuming that you've already taken classes pre these COVID-19 crisis. You were taking classes from in your centers, SOL centers. So we have assumed that 2 units must have been covered by now. So that is why we have started from unit 3 this time. So now coming to legal position of directors. So there is a very renowned case of Imperial Hydropathic Hotel versus Hampson, which said that the directors are sometimes defined as agents, sometimes as trustees, sometimes as managing partners, but each of these expressions are only indicative and not exhaustive. Now you have to understand, what does this mean? Each of these expressions, that is, directors are sometimes called as agents, they are sometimes called as trustees, and sometimes called as managing partners. This means that these expressions are only indicative. They are indicating the functions which are performed by the directors of the company and are not exhaustive. Exhaustive means that they do not actually are agents, they do not actually are trustees under Trustees Act, and they are actually not completely managing partners under the kind of partnership form of business organization. So they are just indicative. They are just indicating the meaning. Yeah, they can be considered as agents. They can be considered as trustees. They can be considered as managing partners. So you have to understand they are indicative and not exhaustive. Not exhaustive means they do not encompass all the functions of an agent under the principal agent relationship which we have. So now, first of all, coming up to directors as agents. Okay, now you know that directors represent company in dealing with the third party. They are representatives of the company when they transact with the third party. So as I told you, company is an artificial person. It cannot act by itself. It has to have some natural persons who are taking decisions on its behalf. No doubt it is an artificial legal entity. It has a separate legal entity. But then we have to understand that it cannot take its own decision. Somebody has to work on its behalf, right? So we generally follow the law of agency in it. So as per the normal principles of law of agency, we say that where the directors enter into any sort of contracts with the third party on behalf of the company on behalf of the company in the normal course of business, the company will be liable and not the directors. You have to understand this. Goes on to the company, because here directors are representatives of the company. Directors are considered as agents of the company, and they are not the directors who are actually getting into a contract with the but it is the company which is getting into a contract with the third party. So it is just that directors are on behalf of the company, that they are making the contract, they are using company's name. Okay, so but we can also say here that directors are not completely like agents. Okay, again you come back to the definition which the case Lord Justice Bowen, the case which I was just talking about. Okay, I'll just pinpoint where am I. Okay, so I am talking about this particular case, Imperial Hydropathic Hotel versus Hampson said. Again, I am coming to the thing which I want all of you to make very clear: indicative. It is indicative and not exhaustive. So we have to have certain reasons that why directors are not completely like agents. See, you know that directors are the directors are elected, but the agents are appointed. So directors are elected in the general meetings, right? They are elected by the shareholders. So, but the agents are appointed, and hence agents work for commission, right? And but directors do not work for commission. So they have separate ways and means of their monetary things from the company. So hence they are not completely like agents, and then we can say that yes, they can be more or less like other agent managing partners or trustees or employees, which we'll just do. Next, we understand that directors as trustees. Okay, now again I am telling you that directors are trustees only indicatively. Okay, again and again I am saying the same thing. Why? Because directors are not trustees in the legal sense. Why? Because the Trustees Act do not apply to directors, right? All the provisions of Trustees Act, which are by and large too many, they do not apply to the directors. So that is why they are trustees in the form that they are there to take care of the company's property, okay? And they are there to use the powers which have been entrusted to them through the Companies Act. Okay, the powers which they have, they have, you know, the powers which have been entrusted to them driven from Companies Act, they have to just use them in a manner which is in a kind of they are in a fiduciary position. They are in the fiduciary position means that they are in a way people, those who are, they are using the power of trust. You know, directors are people who are at the topmost administrative organ of the company. They are the topmost people who are involved in decision making, policy making, and they are actually involved in the substantial affairs of the company, in managing the substantial affairs of the company. So they are people who have the power of trust. So that is why we are saying, that is why we generally say that directors are trustees, not in the legal sense, as the rules applicable under Trustees Act do not apply to directors. They are trustees in the way that the company's money or company's property which comes into their hands or which is actually under their control, they have to manage them with trust, proper, you know, they have to manage them and they have to use their powers in a very trustworthy manner. Next comes your directors as managing partners. You know, though there are different types of business organizations. There is sole proprietorship, there is partnership, there is company form of business organizations, there is LLP. So we have in different types and kinds of business organization existing. So when a director can be considered as a managing partner, director can be considered as a managing partner when sometimes, you know, company can be likened or considered as a large partnership, where directors are responsible for managing its affairs, okay, and the shareholders are considered as virtually dormant partners. What do you mean by dormant? Sleeping partners. Okay, those who are not involved in managing the day-to-day affairs of the company, but they are there, they are partners. Of course, you know that shareholders have a limited liability to the extent of the shares they have put in the company, the shares they have of the company. So they have stake in the company. So they are like dormant partners. If we talk about directors as managing partners, okay, directors can be considered as managing partners only and only by virtue of the position, as they are involved in managing the affairs of the company. And however, they are not completely like partners. Again, we can say that they are not completely like partners because they cannot bind other directors as partners. Excuse me. In a firm, as partners in a firm can do. So they are also subject to retirement, but partners rarely retire. Okay, but directors have to retire. This is a provision in the Companies Act that they'll have to retire. Thus, they are not completely like managing partners. Next comes your directors as employees. Okay, where the director is in full employment of the company, like full-time director or managing director, which we will talk in the later stages of our class. They are considered as employees of the organization, but basically directors are elected representatives of the shareholders engaged in directing the affairs of the company on its behalf. So they are basically elected representatives of the shareholders. Okay, you know that shareholders are the owners of the company, right? You know that. So there is a separation of ownership and management. Always remember, there is a separation of ownership and management, and shareholders are the owners of the company. They are the people actually who have stake in the company, and directors are the management of the company. They are considering the managing the affairs of the company. So in case of directors as employees, if where a director accepts employment under the company under a separate contract of service, in addition to the directorship, he is also treated as an employee of the or the servant of the company. But where there are directors who are actually in full employment of the company, that means they cannot have directorship in any other company, and they are actually taking remuneration, so they are considered as employees of the organization. Next, now very important classification of directors. Now you have to understand the concept of classification of directors from various types of directors. Okay, now you kind of try to listen to me very carefully. There are various kinds of directors, like deemed director, number one. What do you understand by deemed director? Deemed director is a person who has not been formally appointed as a director of the company. But generally what happens that this person tends to give directions to the board, and is accustomed to act, and the board is accustomed to act by his directions. That means वो directions देता है और board act करता है. Okay, he is giving directions and he or she is giving directions to which the board is accustomed to act. Now, accustomed to act, this is an important thing to understand here. What do you mean by accustomed to act? It here implies the repetitive behavior or acting as a matter of regular practice. That means ये चीज एक बार नहीं हो रही है, series of transactions में ये चीज हुई है कि बोर्ड किसी की बात को मानता है और उस पे एक्ट करता है, राइट? तो ये जो किसी है, जो this person who is actually directing the board will be considered as the deemed director, provided the board is accustomed to act. This is of repetitive nature. This is a regular practice which is happening, and it has happened in series of transactions. Okay, there is one catch in this definition of deemed director. You have to understand that the board is also accustomed to act on the advice of professional experts like chartered accountants, like solicitors, like auditors. But this advice given by a person in professional capacity, that person cannot be treated as deemed director. Okay, please understand carefully. Listen to me very carefully. A person is a deemed director when he is not formally appointed by the formally appointed as a director of the company in the general meeting, the way the directors are appointed, but who gives directions to which the board is accustomed to act. Accustomed to act मतलब repetitive nature की चीज हो रही है, regular practice है, कोई transaction होती है, the board tries to seek advice and follow the advice and act the way the other person advises. Okay, then that person, the other person, is called as a deemed director. Okay, number two, you have to keep this in your mind that it does not include professional advisors. Professional advisors such as company secretaries, chartered accountants, solicitors, auditors, who are actually giving advice or directing the board from the point of view of, from the perspective of professional advice in professional capacity. They are not considered as deemed directors. Okay. Now, resident director. This is simple. Section 149, subsection 3 provides that every company shall have at least one director who has stayed in India for a period of not less than 182 days during the financial year. So you have to remember this. I have missed out one director in this, which is de facto director. De facto director. De facto director. I have missed out that, but I'll just tell you what is a de facto director. There is one more de facto director which we talk about, who has not been formally appointed, but yet openly declares that and openly assumes the position of a director, despite the fact that he lacks authority and the right to act, and they are still de facto. He has not been formally appointed, yet openly act as or openly assume the position of a director, despite the lack of authority and right to act. He doesn't have the right to act, he doesn't have the authority, but still he openly acts or openly assumes the position of de facto director, of a director. Then come to the concept of first directors. Okay, this is now important. You have to understand first directors are appointed by the promoters. First director as in when the company has just got incorporated. They are the directors appointed by the promoters. So how is it like, how are they going to be appointed? Either their names are in the articles of the association, or they are basically appointed in a manner which is provided in the articles. Either their names are put in the articles that these will be our first directors, okay, or any sort of procedure which has been given in the articles for the appointment of the first directors. Now, if articles do not have anything regarding the first directors, if there is nothing mentioned in the articles of association regarding the appointment of the first directors or who are the first directors, then whosoever would be the subscribers or signatories of memorandum of association are deemed to be the first directors. Who are individuals are deemed to be the first directors. Now, what exactly you have to understand is this is given in section 152 of the New Companies Act, that if there is no provision in articles of association of the company for appointment of first directors, then the subscribers to memorandum who are individuals, subscribers to memorandum who are individuals shall be deemed to be the first directors of the company until the directors are duly appointed. Okay, what am I talking about? I am talking about first directors here. Okay, first directors means who are going to be the directors immediately after the incorporation of the company, because एकदम से तो general meeting नहीं हो सकती ना, तब तक first directors कौन रहेंगे? अच्छा, you have one important aspect here. You have to remember that first directors shall hold office till directors are duly appointed in general meeting. Okay, as per section 152 only, that if till the time the directors are duly appointed in the general meeting, the first director shall hold the office till that date. Okay, then if this could another be one of the cases that if all subscriber to memorandum are corporates, okay, then first directors and first directors names are also not mentioned in the articles. Okay, the company in that case will have no directors to its AGM. This can also happen. What do we say? That if the articles are silent, in case of first directors, we say that if the articles are silent, subscribers to MOA who are individuals, I hope you understand, who are individuals shall be deemed to be the first directors. What if the memorandum has been subscribed by only body corporates and articles is also silent? Then what will happen? In that case, there is no problem if the company goes without directors till its first AGM. Okay, so please remember this. You have to keep this in your mind. I hope you all are understanding what I am saying. I know I am going a little fast, but that is how I will be able to cover the topics which I would want you all to know. Now, classification of directors. There are directors who are classified as, in accordance with the appointment, nature of appointment. So under section 161, board of directors, board of directors has power to appoint directors if articles of course authorizes in the following 4 cases, right? In the following 4 cases, the board of directors have the powers to appoint directors in these 4 cases. Number 1, additional director. Okay, remember this. Under section 161 subsection 1. Now, what is an additional? Who is an additional director? First of all, so first of all, additional it is a very it is a shortcut to attract competent people on board. So board of directors can appoint an additional director who holds office up to the date of next AGM or last date of which AGM should have been held, whichever is earlier. You just remember that board of directors has the power to appoint an additional director who holds office only up to the date of next AGM. So now there are certain conditions which you have to remember for additional directors. So number of directors and additional directors together shall not exceed the maximum strength fixed for the board by the articles. So additional directors would be in the maximum strength that the board can have in accordance with the articles of association, and they enjoy the same powers as other directors. Additional directors enjoy the same powers. Basically, they are appointed in case of any sort of, when some competency is required, some project has come to the company and some sort of different competency is required, which the board feels that they lack. In that case, under section 161, subsection 1, additional director can be appointed for a period of time till the next AGM by the board itself. Board has the power. So in such case, the director can be appointed through the board meeting. It's in the board meeting only, and such directors also have to purchase the qualification shares. Now I'll tell you what are qualification shares. Listen to me very carefully. All the concepts cannot be put in the PPT or the presentation. So keep your mind and ears open when I am talking to you. Please don't think that you can just rely upon the presentation. See, additional directors should also purchase qualification shares as per the requirement of the articles. See, as such, when it comes to the qualification of directors, as such, no qualification is mentioned in the Act that how much qualified a director should be to be in the board of a company. But if articles would want these directors will have to purchase the qualification shares, some amount of qualification shares, which I will be discussing with you. What are the qualification shares, which the maximum amount of qualification shares they can purchase is 5,000 within 2 months of their taking the office of the director. So they have to buy the qualification shares. Additional director has to buy the qualification share, and such director is to hold the office till the next AGM. Okay, remember this. Now coming to alternate director under section 161 subsection 2. Now alternate director, if the original director means, this director is appointed in the absence of the original director, who by way of, in the absence of, for a period of not less than 3 months, he is not there in the state for approximately, a period of 3 months or more. And then if in that case, an alternate director can be appointed for a director who is called the original director, okay, during his absence for a period of not less than 3 months from the state in which meetings of the board are ordinarily held. And now, it can be appointed by the board by passing resolution in board meeting. And, this alternate director helps solving the problems of lack of quorum in board meetings. You know what is quorum? Quorum is the minimum number of members required to commence the meeting. कितने लोग मिनिमम होने चाहिए एक मीटिंग को स्टार्ट करने के लिए, कम से कम कितने लोग मौजूद होने चाहिए एक मीटिंग को स्टार्ट करने के लिए, उसको कोरम बोला जाता है. So but there are certain provisions which do not apply to alternate directors. That is, such directors are not counted for maximum limit of directorship which a person can hold, or such appointment is not considered as increase in strength of directors. So you you have to understand that such director is not a representative proxy or an agent of the director. He has been appointed to act for a director during the absence of the original director. So as all the provisions related to remuneration, etc., they all apply to this particular director as it used to apply to the original director. Okay, so alternate director is important from the perspective of, it solves the problem of having quorum, lack of quorum in the board meetings. So it is required when the original director is not in place, is not in the city or state. Then comes your nominee directors. Now, nominee director, very simple, that usually, there are governments, financial institutions who have lent a lot of money to the company. Okay, they can nominate a director on the board, okay, of the company. To why they would nominate? Because they have lent a lot of money to the company, and they would want that they would ensure that the money lent is invested in proper way. It is not misused. So the financial institutions and other lenders nominate a director on the board of the companies, financed companies. Financed मतलब जिनको उन्होंने पैसा दिया है, उनके बोर्ड पर अपना एक नॉमिनी बिठा दिया जाता है, ताकि वो that person should keep a check कि जो भी पैसा इन्वेस्ट उन्होंने किया है, it is used in proper ways and means, and it is not misused. So that is a nominee director under section 161 subsection 3. Then comes your filling of casual vacancy under section 161 subsection 4. Now this filling of casual vacancy, इसको हम casual director और ad hoc director भी बोलते हैं. We call it as casual director or ad hoc director. You know, sometimes due to some uncertain event like death, disqualification, removal, insanity or insolvency, कुछ किसी भी illness, prolonged illness की वजह से the office of the director gets vacated. Okay, so because of this, but not by retirement, not by retirement. Retirement की वजह से नहीं या फिर tenure के खत्म होने की वजह से नहीं. Okay, किसकी वजह से? If the office of any director gets vacated before the expiry of his term, उसकी tenure को खत्म होने से पहले ही उसका office vacate हो जाता है due to some reasons like death, disqualification. Disqualification under section 164. Insanity. Insanity means he loses his mental balance. Removal or insolvency की वजह से some person has to vacate the office. Then in the place of that person, in order to facilitate smooth running of the company, in order to facilitate smooth running, ताकि आराम से सारे काम होते चले जाएं, तब हम casual vacancy को fill कर सकते हैं, and that person will be called as the casual director or ad hoc director. Ad hoc का क्या मतलब होता है? For the purpose of. For the purpose of कि भाई उस समय जो काम है, जो purpose है, उसको fulfill करने के लिए हमने एक director को लगाया है, बिठाया है, because of any uncertain event which has happened. So this is important, and you have to remember this. Then comes an important concept of women director under section 149 subsection 1. Okay, now the central government, CG, in the presentation, wherever CG is written, it means central government. It has prescribed such class or classes of companies, along with in the rule 3 also of the company's appointment and qualification of directors, rules 2014. देखिए, एक तो act होता है Companies Act. It is actually what the detailed version of the Companies Act is given through the rules. Rule क्या है? Companies Act का ही हिस्सा है. Okay, तो Companies Act में तो सिर्फ provisions दे दिए जाते हैं, but उसका जो detailed explanation और उसके जो extra चीजें जो हमें ध्यान में रखनी है, in order to follow those provisions, they are given in the rules. Okay, they accompany the act. तो कहीं पर भी अगर rule लिखा है तो वो कोई और चीज नहीं है. Okay, it is a part of Companies Act जो आपको दिखेगा. आप कहीं अगर if you will try to find it on the internet, you will be able to very easily find out the rules also. You can find it on ICSI website also. It is very easily, the Companies Act is very comprehensively given there, and there are hyperlinks. You can easily navigate from one provision to another in just a click of the mouse. So you can go to ICSI website also to check all this. So women director, coming to women director under section 149 subsection 1. It says that every listed company and any other public company having every listed company has to have a woman director. Okay, and every public company having paid up capital of rupees 100 crores, paid up capital of rupees 100 crores or more, or turnover of rupees 300 crores or more, to have at least one women director. Please keep this in your mind. These are the important aspects which you have to remember. The provisions that every listed company has to have one woman director. Every public company, any other public company whose paid up capital is 100 crores or more, or turnover of rupees 300 crores or more, shall have at least one woman director on board. Okay, this was the thing. Now, there is no prohibition in the act given. It's very interesting that there is no prohibition for appointment of a female relative of a on the board. Relatives, any female can be appointed on the board. So for large family business houses, you will see that women directors are the people, they are the ones from inside the family only. Then one more, the guidelines for listed entities through LODR, listing obligation and disclosure requirements for better corporate governance. LODR is for listed companies, some regulations for listed companies given by SEBI in its wide recent notification that the board of directors of the top 500 listed entities shall have at least one independent woman director. ये किस में दिया हुआ है? LODR में दिया हुआ है. जो Companies Act में दिया हुआ है, that is this. Okay, but in order to have more transparency and to have independence of woman director also. Independence of woman director means that person should not be a part of the family. That person should not be an inside director. That person should not have, that woman should not have any sort of vested interest or any sort of pecuniary or material interest in the affairs of the company. इसके लिए LODR में, ओके, कंपनीज एक्ट में ये दिया हुआ है, ठीक है. LODR में दिस SEBI ने जो वाइड रिसेंट नोटिफिकेशन के थ्रू दिया है, दैट टॉप 500 लिस्टेड कंपनीज शैल हैव एट लीस्ट वन independent woman director by April 1st, 2019, and top 1000 listed companies shall have one independent woman director by April 1, 2020. So what is this and how is it? How is it going to be governed, that which are the top 500 and 1000 entities? It would be done through the market capitalization. उसके हिसाब से पता लगेगा कि कौन सी टॉप 500 हैं और कौन सी टॉप 1000 एंटिटीज हैं. ओके, एट द एंड ऑफ द इमीडिएट प्रीवियस ईयर. इससे क्या बेनिफिट होगा? इससे बेनिफिट ये होगा कि 2 वुमेन डायरेक्टर्स भी बोर्ड पर आ सकती हैं. ओके, वन शैल बी द वन थ्रू इन अकॉर्डेंस विद द कंपनीज एक्ट. और लिस्टेड एंटिटीज में व्हाट इज गोइंग टू हैपन? Another woman independent director will have to be appointed. Independent woman director will have to be appointed. This is a very important concept. From exams point of view, you will be learning, you will be, when you will be reading, just read it very diligently, very carefully. Okay. So now, another important type of director under the classification of small shareholders, under the classification of directors, we have small shareholders directors. Now, section 151 of the Act says that every listed company may have one director elected by such small shareholder. Who is a small shareholder? First of all, the concept has to be understood. Small shareholder is a shareholder whose nominal value of the holding is not more than 20,000. Nominal value of the holding is not more than 20,000. Please remember this. तभी तो small माना जाएगा ना वो. Supposedly, now please listen to the example. Supposedly there is a person X who is holding 2000 equity shares of ₹10 each. Nominal value, paid up value की बात नहीं हो रही है, market value की बात नहीं हो रही है, हम nominal value की बात कर रहे हैं. Please remember this. Okay. So this person holds 2000 equity shares of ₹10 each. Fine. 4 is the paid up amount. Okay. So the nominal value of the shares held by him is 20,000. So he can be considered as the small shareholder director. Okay. Because the nominal value 2000 into 10 is your 20,000. I am not talking about the paid up value. I am not talking about the market value. Then comes Mr. Y, who holds 5,000 equity shares of rupees 10 each. Rupees 4 is paid up. But Mr. Y cannot be considered as the small shareholder since the nominal value of the shares held by him is 50,000, which exceeds 20,000. So Mr. X will be considered as the small shareholder because the nominal value is 20,000, and Mr. Y will not be considered as the small shareholder. Why? Because the nominal value is 50,000. Though he has paid 4 rupees only as the calls of the shares, calls of the shares, but that doesn't mean his nominal value will be 20,000. Okay, so here nominal value is relevant. Okay, it does not matter how much is the paid up value or the market value, as I have already discussed with you. However, so you have to remember that small shareholders who are the ones who are holding shares of nominal value of rupees 20,000, वो अपना एक representative board पर बिठा सकते हैं. Okay, अब उसके भी कुछ terms and conditions होंगे of course. So a listed company, अब एक listed company है, voluntarily, a listed company may elect small shareholders director suo moto. Suo moto means on its own, okay, or upon a notice of not less than 1,000 small shareholders. या तो खुद voluntarily एक लिस्टेड कंपनी स्मॉल शेयर होल्डर डायरेक्टर को रख ले, अपने पास बिठाए, बोर्ड पर रखे, या फिर इट कुड बी डन बाय a notice of not less than 1,000 small shareholders or 1/10 of the total number of such shareholders, whichever is lower. Whichever is lower. For example, in a company there are 5,000 small shareholders. Okay, 1/10 of the total number of shareholders would be 500. तो यहाँ पर क्या ऑप्शन है? 1,000 स्मॉल शेयर होल्डर्स नोटिस दें या फिर 1/10 ऑफ द टोटल नंबर ऑफ सच शेयर होल्डर्स व्हिचएवर इज लोअर. तो लोअर कौन सा हुआ? 500. तो इन दैट केस जहां पर सिर्फ 5,000 स्मॉल शेयर होल्डर्स हैं, वहां पर 500 लोग भी नोटिस दे सकते हैं. ओके, सो दिस कुड बी डन वॉलंटरीली या फिर बाय इट कुड बी इलेक्टेड by the small shareholder director by a notice. पहले उसमें notice देना पड़ेगा. Notice में एक intention to propose a candidate needs to be given at least 14 days before the meeting. Then the statement by the proposed small shareholders director, उनको 3 चीजें बतानी पड़ेंगी. सबसे पहले he has to have DIN, that is your director identification number. Okay, we will be discussing director's identification number in the next few slides, and it is an important concept. Okay, and he has to also undertake that he is not disqualified to become a director under section 164 of the Act. Okay, section 164 of the Act talks about the disqualification of director. कब एक director disqualify हो सकता है from directorship? Okay, he has to give a statement in writing. He has to undertake, and then he has to give a consent that he is ready to act as the director of the company. And now small shareholder director is going to be an independent director. He will hold office for a period of 3 consecutive years, which cannot exceed this period of 3 consecutive years. Consecutive years means back to back. And he is not liable to retire by rotation. His grounds of disqualification is the same as which is given and specified under section 164. ये हम आगे करेंगे, अभी हमारी आगे की slides में है. And also grounds of vacation of office. If he ceases to be a small shareholder, अगर वो 20,000 से ऊपर, if he ceases to be a small shareholder or he incurs any of the disqualification or in persuasion of your section 167 and he ceases to meet the criteria of independence. You have to remember, अभी हम independent director को भी detail में पढ़ेंगे. What does it talk about? So we will be doing all the aspects in detail. So one thing you have to remember, okay, section 167 talks about vacation of office. Okay, it talks about vacation of office कि कब एक director को अपना office vacate करना पड़ता है. Okay, तो वो कब कब अपने office को, what all are the provisions for the vacation of office for a small shareholder director, ये बताया गया है इसके अंदर. सबसे पहले अगर वो small shareholder नहीं रहता, दूसरा if he under section 164 he disqualifies, तीसरी बात same rules which apply under 167 which talks about vacation of office of director, इसके अंदर same बातें हैं जैसे कि I will give you an example what all is there under section 167. सबसे पहली बात कि disqualification हो जाए तब उसको vacate करना पड़ता है. दूसरी चीज, if he absents himself from all the board meetings, if he absents himself from all the meetings of the board during the period of 12 months, तब भी he'll have to vacate his office and he doesn't with or without seeking leave of absence of the board. मतलब he is not attending the board meetings at all. He is contravening the provisions of the act under section 184. Under section 184 is relating to contracts or agreements in which he is directly or indirectly interested. Section 184 बोलता है see, small shareholder director is an independent director. He is not supposed to be interested in the contracts or arrangements of the company. So if he is interested in the contracts or arrangements of the company either directly or indirectly, that means he is violating the provisions of being a small shareholder director. So remember this. So these are certain provisions under 167 which you can always check more, and you have to do that also. So then number of small shareholder directorship, a person shall not hold the office of small shareholder director in more than 2 companies. Okay, so and there is one more important thing. If the second company is in competitive business or is in any sort of conflict with the first company, then he shall not be appointed in the second company. Please remember this. Okay, a person shall not hold the office of small shareholders in more than 2 companies. But इसमें भी एक कैच है that अगर दूसरी कंपनी पहली कंपनी की कॉम्पिटिटर है या फिर there is some sort of conflict with the business, then he shall not be appointed in the second company. Okay, no association with the company for next 3 years. He shall directly or indirectly not be appointed or associated in any other capacity with the company, either directly or indirectly for a period of 3 years from the date of cessation. 3 साल के बाद जब उसका टेन्योर खत्म हो जाता है, जो हमने अभी किया है 3 साल consecutive years के बाद जब उसका टेन्योर खत्म हो जाता है, then he shall not be appointed or associated with the company in any other capacity also. Okay, so these are certain provisions related to small shareholder director. So now I would want you to take a break of 5 minutes and then we will be back. Okay, we'll start with independent directors.